producers, okay, the standpoint of the producers, and we know that anything aggregates simply means, you know, anything aggregates simply means the economy at large, okay. And then when we talk about aggregate supply, we talk about the total supply, the total goods produced, okay, the total goods produced in an economy. Okay, so that's what aggregate supply is. Okay, aggregate supply is the total amount of goods and services produced and are readily available for sales in a particular economy. Aggregate, total. Okay, so that's what aggregate supply is, and it is otherwise known as output. Okay, you know, output, output of firms, of all the firms in the country. Okay, so it is also known as the total output, and it is the total amount of items that producers in the country can sell. Okay, so when we define supply, we say supply is the total um, um, amount of goods a producer is willing and able to, you know, to sell or produce at a given price at a particular period of time. Okay, so what aggregate supply is the total output of all the firms in a country. Okay, the total output of all the firms, all the producers, the total items they can produce, the total items they can sell at a given price in an economy. Okay, so and we also know that the law of supply says that the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied by the producers or suppliers. And then that denotes that there is a direct relationship. When I say direct, I mean there is a positive relationship between the quantity supplied and the price of what is being supplied. In economics, we believe individuals are rational. We are all rational beings. We do what pays us. We do what is best for us. So put yourself in the shoes of a producer. If you are to produce, if you are to produce an item, okay, you will be willing to produce more if the price of that item is high in the market, okay, because you want to make more gain. Okay, but when you see that the price of that thing is going down in the market, you will lose interest. You'll be like, man, there's no gain in this thing again, so let me stop producing. That is how we are. So the way the consumers, the way they think, it's quite different from the way producers think. Okay, so they are more like, two opposite sides. Okay, producers want to produce more as price increases. Meanwhile, consumer would reduce their demand as price increases. Okay, so basically, the point I'm trying to bring out here, our focus here is aggregate supply. The point I'm trying to bring out here is that there is a direct relationship between the total supply in a country and the price, the general price, the price of that item being supplied. Okay, so like I said, aggregate supply is a total amount of goods and services available in a particular country for a specific period of time. Okay, and I said total supply can otherwise, please note, total supply can otherwise be known as total output in a country. Okay, the total amount of items producers can sell at a given price in an economy. Okay, that is what aggregate supply is, and that there is a direct or positive relationship between the number of goods and services producers can provide and the price of the items. Okay, so that's when you see that in the okay, so before I go there, so while discussing supply, it is important, or it is pertinent, that we consider it in two um in two periods. Okay, so we have the short run and the long run. Okay, um maybe I don't know if I should type this, but well, since Casey is recording, I think maybe the recording will be available to everyone later. Okay, so as I was saying, you know, while discussing the, or let me just do a recap. Let me just type what I've said so far. Okay, so I said aggregate supply. This is the total goods and services available. Okay, this is the total goods and services available in a country. Okay, in a particular economy. eh, Economy at a specific period of time. Okay, so we said that otherwise known as it is otherwise known as total output in a country. Okay, that is the total goods producers are willing and able to supply or produce at a given price in a specific period of time. I think this is quite explanatory. Okay, so I took my time to just write this down so we can all flow together. Okay, so that is total supply. So I mean aggregate supply, and then we said that there is a positive relationship, between supply. In this case, when we say supply, we are saying output, that is total output, and the prices of goods produced. Okay, so there is a positive relationship or direct. Let me just put positive or direct relationship between the outputs or the supply and the price of goods produced. Okay, so in this case, having said this, in economics we deal with graph, but I just can't draw graph here. You would know, we all know that the movement of um supply, the supply curve, it is upward sloping. Okay, it moves from bottom left. Okay, it moves from bottom left to top right. It moves from bottom left to top right. Okay, it is upward sloping. It goes up from that origin. From that origin, I mean the intersection of x and y axis. From there, you draw a line up. Okay, maybe at angle 45 degree. You can just do it. I'm just explaining this so you can imagine. Yeah, I mean you can imagine it. I can't draw it here, but just imagine it. Okay, so it goes up. That shows a direct relationship, meaning that if you see the curve, just imagine it as price is going up. The price is on your y axis, that's the vertical axis, and then the quantity supplied is on your x axis, that's your horizontal axis. Now, as that line that you drew from the origin, as it's going up, I mean upward right, you can see that if you trace it, if you trace, or let's say you put dots on that line, if you trace it to each axis, okay, you see that it keeps increasing. The price increases, and then the quantity supplied also increases. That shows a direct relationship, a positive relationship between the price and the quantity supplied. Okay, so let's say the supply curve is upward slopey. Okay, it goes from bottom left to top right. So this is just an elementary knowledge for us to, I mean, this will launch us into, and this is how I take my class. It's a progressive thing. I build on points. Okay, so please, some of us might be familiar with this before, but let's just take it slow and steady so we can achieve our aim tonight. Okay, so like I said, when considering the concept of aggregate supply, okay, let me just type it. When considering the concept of aggregate supply, sorry, supply, it is pertinent to view, or it is pertinent to, address the short run and long run supply. Okay, so now let me, when we say short run, it means, you know um within, a short period of time, like in the nearest future, in the nearest future. Short run meaning that maybe from now to next year. Okay, but in the long run, as the name implies, in the long run, meaning that in the future to come. Okay, so the behavior of supply differs in these two periods. Okay, so in the short run, in the short run the short run um in the short run, you know the aggregate supply curve, oh sorry, supply curve, let me shift this up. Okay, the aggregate supply curve is still upward slopey. Okay, and in this case, I wish I could demonstrate this diagram. The aggregate supply curve is still upward slopey. Okay, but there are two forces in the market: the forces of demand and supply, and they affect each other. Okay, there's a way demand will react, there's a way supply will react to changes in demand. Okay, so now in the short run, okay, when, let me just type it, when demand increases, okay, when demand increases, okay, what happens to the price? The price, goes up. Okay, the price goes up, and when the price goes up, what happens? and the output also increases. Okay, now look at the logic. When, let's say I'm a producer, I produce biro or a pen. Okay, when I start seeing that people are now demanding my pen, oh, Solomon's pen, the best, the best, the best, something will trigger me to believe that, oh, now they need it, they need my pen. I would want to increase the price of my pen due to high demand. Okay, so when demand increases, I increase my price. When they keep buying, okay, I have the tendency of producing more of that my pen because I'm making gain, because I've increased my price. Okay, a graph would better explain this thing. Okay, but we can read that up. Okay, but I'm heading somewhere. That's in the short run. Okay, and then um in the long run. Okay, in the long run, I hope you guys are following. Okay, in the long run, it is assumed that the firm is operating at its optimal. Okay, it is assumed that the firm is operating at its optimal. Therefore, when demand changes, or let me say at this point, prices are flexible. Okay, prices are flexible. There's no much, how do I call it? Prices are flexible in such a way that, okay, let's say in the short run, when demand reduces, okay, it's the price tends to be sticky in the short run because it will be tough for the producer to change the price. And even when price increases, when the price increases, but most of the times it happens when price goes down. When demand goes down, rather, when demand goes down, the producer might be struggling to reduce the price. So the price tends to be sticky in the short run, but in the long run, there's flexibility. Price can go anywhere. Why? Because you know um when let me see. Because when demand, oh sorry, I'm typing in cap. I'm shouting my typing. Because when demand you know um changes, okay, it only affects the price and not the output. Okay, and not the output. You remember I said in the long run, it is assumed that the firm is operating at its optimal, meaning that it has gotten to, I mean, it's operating at the highest, or at the peak, the highest capacity. Okay, so the output might not change at that point. Okay, the only thing that can be changing is the price. Okay, if demand if demand increases, they increase the price. If demand decreases, they reduce the price. It doesn't affect the output. It doesn't affect the firm's output. Okay, why? Because there is full employment in the country. The firms are operating optimally and all. Okay, so now, why am I stating all this? It is simply to introduce to us. It is simply to introduce to us a background formula. Okay, so all these are important. All these are important for us, okay, to introduce a formula called, aggregate supply formula. Okay, so now in the short run, okay, in the short run, we can say that outputs, I said supply can also be used, can be used interchangeably, meaning that supply in the short run, or output in the short run, output Y, okay, is, a function of, is a function of, sorry, is a function of SP, okay. So we can say that in the short run, I said in the short run, when demand changes, the output changes. Okay, why? Due to, variances, or due to fluctuations in the price level. Though it is sticky, but it is, it changes, but not as flexible as it changes in the long run. In the long run, it's quite easy for the price to, to fluctuate, to go up and down anyhow. Why? Because the firm really does not have anything to lose, because it's operating optimally. It doesn't affect the firm's or the producer's output. Okay, but in the short run, it is a bit sticky, because the effects, the price affects the output. Okay, the price of goods affects the output of frames. Okay, so now in the short run, the output Y, okay, is denoted by, I wish I can. Okay, let me just use this one as Y. Oh, sorry, Y star. Okay, I will explain this to you. Plus, letter A, I'll use that. That A is supposed to be alpha, but since I don't have alpha here, let me just make things easy. P minus PE. Okay, so now look at it. I said in the short run, the prices, when price changes, it affects the output. That's why I did there. You can see that in the short run, when demand increases, the price goes up. When price goes up, what happens? The frame, because the frame is still, how do I call it? Maybe it has not started operating optimally. So it still has capacity to produce more if price increases. Now, if price increases, producers increase output. Okay, so that's to tell you that, output is a function of price in the short run. Okay, in the short run, output is the function, is a function of the price. Okay, when price increases, output increases. Okay, when price decreases, output decreases. Now this brings us to this particular formula. Okay, it's called, the supply, aggregate supply, aggregate supply, oh sorry, aggregate supply, let's say equation. Oh, equation. Okay, now I will explain this to us, where our Y is equals to the output. Okay, this Y star, Y star is, oh sorry, I wanted to use star. Y star is the, or let me say, yeah, national level, or let me say, production level in the country. Don't let me use economy. Country. Okay, and then our P is the price or the firm's price level. And then the PE. The P is the expected price level. Okay, that's the expected price level. And then this A is the degree of responsiveness of output due to change in price levels. Okay, now
Please, that A, can we
hello.
call it a slope?
Oh, sorry.
The A, can we call it a slope? I don't know.
Yeah, A, small letter A, right? That's what you meant.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think it's my system that automatically made it capital letter. Thank you. So it's supposed to be small letter. Okay. So now, please let me now explain this aggregate supply equation, because you might be wondering what's all this. So, like I said, in the short run, the output is a function of the price. Okay, because changes in price still affects the level of production in the short run. But in the long run, we assume that firms are operating optimally. Okay, the output does not change. Okay, there's full employment, there's full utilization of resources. Okay, and so now here, this is our background. This is our background formula. Okay, let me just maybe put it in red. Okay, it's too dull. This is my background save gone. You guys should shout sorry. Or let me use something sharper. Okay. All right. So now this is our background formula for whatever we'll be doing this night, and I will explain this is how this is existing. Okay, so now I said our output is a function of price, but right here we have other things, other parameters here. Now this Y star, like I said, is the normal production level, the national level of production. Okay, so it is either your in the short run, when price does not change, okay, we can say your output at that moment is equal to the normal production level in the country when there's no change anywhere. Okay, when there's no change in prices. Okay, so we can say this, the normal production level in the country is autonomous. Okay, when there's no, I mean, the price does not affect it, so that one is there. Okay, now the only difference now is that, sorry, there's an airplane passing in front of my house. Let me allow it pass. Okay, so now in the short run, I said change in price.
Are you sure you don't? Are you sure you don't have any pad in your compound?
Am I sure?
Are you sure you don't have helipad in your compound? Maybe a helicopter wants to drop.
No, sir. We never reached that level.
I was thinking
Okay.
he's going to wave the airplane down so that you can join them.
Eh. God, I beg. No worry, you go reach there. Okay, so now, like as I was saying, the output in the short run, okay, is equals to the normal outputs in the economy, okay, plus the changes in price. Now, this is the original price in the economy. This is the expected price by firms. Okay. Now, the reason what this thing is denoting is the difference, the change. Okay. They are expecting the price to be, let's say they are expecting the price to be 200 naira while producing. Okay. 200 naira. But in the market, due to the forces of sorry, demand and supply, or maybe due to increased demand, the market price now increased to 500 naira. Okay. Now, like I said, the producers, while producing, they have done their own model. Okay. They've done their costs benefit analysis, everything. Okay. And then they pegged, I mean, the expectation is that they will sell the products at 200 naira. That's the expected price level by the producers. Okay. But due to the increased demand in the market, the price of the goods has been pushed up to 500 naira. Okay. Now, I said an increased price will add to the output of the firm or of the producer. Okay. So now, what this formula is denoting is that as price increases, okay, as the price level increases, it is an addition to the total output here. Okay. Let me put it here, total output. If you do not understand this thing, I just want you to, because if you do not understand this thing, you might find it difficult to flow, in the subsequent discussions. Okay. So the total output, okay, is normally supposed to be the normal production level in the country. Okay. But in the short run, some changes can be brought about by changes in price. Okay. And when price changes, what happens? The producer would also want to produce more. So it is an addition, okay, to the total output here. Okay. Do you understand? This is the price expectation. This is the price level in the market. Okay. There's a gain here. So let's look at it in terms of maybe money. Okay. Your total output is going to what the normal output in the economy plus the additional gain. Okay. Plus the additional gain you make from differences in the price. The price you planned is not what you sold it in the market. The market price is higher than your own planned price. Okay. And then this A is the degree. It's more like the multiplier. Okay. So let's say that, and please note that beta A is always greater than 0. It can never be 0 or negative. Okay. So A is always greater than 0. It is a positive coefficient. Okay. So now that is that about output in the short run. Okay. While in the long run, like I said, in the long run, price does not affect the total output. Okay. Price changes does not affect the total output. So we can say that we can say that your total output is the same thing as the normal output in the economy, the normal, production in the economy in the long run. Okay, that's in the long run, since your output does not change. So no matter the changes in all these price levels, it won't affect, it won't add or nor subtract from your output, because it is assumed that the highest you are producing the highest output, which is equals to the total output in the economy. Okay, the total production level. It's more like you have attained the highest production level the country can never attain. Okay, so at that point, price does not affect the output. Okay, that's in the long run, the company is performing optimally. So that's by the way. So now I will still come back here. Uh the output is equal to the normal, economic production the production level in the economy, plus the changes in the price. These changes in price is a gain for you. It is an addition to your total output here. Yes, normal your total output is is the normal economic output, or let's say production level, plus when your price changes too, when price changes due to increased demand, it is a plus for you. Okay, so that's why we are adding. You can see that the relationship here is positive, plus you can see plus change in price. Okay, so meaning that as price, if this price level increases, your total output is still increasing. Okay, so whatever happens to P here, if price level increases, it will increase. If price level decreases, it will decrease. You can see the direct relationship between the both. Okay, so that is by the way on short run and long run um, um, aggregate supply. Okay, so now in the class, the man talked about sticky price model. I'm trying to lay my priority right. Wow, this is almost 10, because the more pressing issue here is the one Mr. Aladiro pointed to me. Okay, but
We can push it to 11
let
if possible.
us. Hello, sir.
We can push it to 11 if to cover substantial, part and
Okay.
get it.
Okay. That would be based on
It's a sacrifice.
consensus.
Yes.
That would be based on consensus. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's go to um the sticky price model. Okay. Sticky price model. Why is this one? Sticky price model. Okay. I won't dwell much on this, but I'll just do the derivative. Okay, I'll just do the derivative. But I really hope you won't get confused here, sha. But let's just continue. So under this model, it is assumed that firms will not, like I said, in the short run, price is sticky. Okay, firms are being careful because they are afraid if price increases and then they produce more, what if there's no demand, there's no corresponding demand to mop up the goods produced? So they find it difficult to make pricing decisions. Okay, so in under sticky model, we consider that the decision of a firm is dependent on two things. Okay, the price level, okay, and then the aggregate income. They are being calculative. There's fear in the short run. I said in the long run, there's no room. I mean, there's no all for. Sorry, permit my language, because they are performing optimally now. Okay, they are full employment. All the resources are fully utilized, so they feel like that's the peak, that's the highest. Okay, but under short run, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Now no correct me. See my nonsense spelling here. Sticky. All right. So under the short run, there are still some uncertainties, and then the firms are being careful to change price. Before they change price, they do all the pros and cons. Oh, as prices are increasing like this, should I produce more? If I produce more, will there be a corresponding demand to mop up or to buy my products in the market? Or when price is reducing and then there is what's it called, high demand, there would also be reasoning. Should I increase, I mean, should I produce? I can't even produce now, stuff like that. So the price determination during the short run is quite tough. So that's where this model came in, sticky price model. And then the model emphasizes that firms um they don't immediately change the price they charge. Okay, even when demand increases or decreases, they tend to want to stick to that particular price, that price model that is favoring them, that is giving them that profit. Okay, so they do they are sluggish. They are sluggish while making the decision for how much to charge for their products. Okay, so the model emphasizes that firms do not immediately change the prices they charge. Uh, you know, Even if demand changes, okay, they still tend to be sticky to a particular price model. Okay, so that's what sticky price model is talking about. And I said they consider two things. It's either they consider the price level. So when the price level is higher, okay, the firm could, or they would want to, you know, charge more. They would want to charge more and increase their product their output. And then also when the income of consumers increases in the market, of course there will be a corresponding, there will be an increased demand due to increase in income of consumers. So there will be an increased demand for the firm's products. So all these things, before they change price suddenly, before they change their price, they will be sluggish. Okay, they will do their analysis first. Okay, so that is about sticky price model. Okay, that's about sticky price model. And then as I was saying, so under sticky price model, normally you know normally a firm, or let me say firms determine their prices, okay, by considering they determine their prices by considering um the overall, like I said, they consider two things, right? They consider the overall price level in the economy by considering the overall price level in the economy. Okay, and as well as well as the total output. Okay, the total output in the economy. Okay, so why am I saying total output? Let me denote the formula. So P, that's the price level of firms, is equals to the overall price level in the economy plus the economic performance. Okay, that's the total output minus, let me say, y star here. Okay, now I'll just let me denote this. So this P star is the firm's price level. Sorry, price level. Okay, the P is the overall. We'll soon be done though. When we move to Phillips curve, that's the highlight of today's class. All this one is just to lay a foundation. Okay, so overall, or let's say the total price level in the economy. Okay, total price level in the economy, and then we know that y here is the normal, the output of frames. Okay, let's say frames, the output of frames, and then this y star, the y star is the the potential output. Okay, so now look at it. Let's interpret this. But before we do this, let me come back here. Let me reiterate this. I said in the short run, our output y, this is our output y, total output by frames. Okay, the total output is equal to normally the production level in the country. Of course, it is the total output by frames that determines the production level in the country. Okay, so the total output by frames is the production level plus the effect of changes in price. Now, if they plan for 500 naira, 200 naira, that's price, the expected price while producing, and then in market now later sold for 500 naira, you can see that it has added to their profits. Okay, so we can say their output is synonymous to how much they will make. Of course, the more they produce, the more profits they make when they make sales. Okay, and then when they now find the difference between how much they plan to sell that particular product and then how much they later sold it in the market, it's still a plus to them. Okay, that's what this formula is saying. Okay, the output of a firm is equal to the normal production level in the country plus the effect of price changes. Okay, and then the price changes could be the firm's price level minus the expected price level by the firms. Okay, so that is by the way. And I said in the long run, the price does not change the output. Okay, so the output, it is assumed that the firms are operating optimally. Okay, so the price, the output of all the firms is equal to the overall or the total production level in the economy. Okay, that's in the long run. So for this place, I said firms can determine the price. This P star is denoting the price. the price of a firm can be determined by the normal overall price level in the country. We all know that to an extent, there's a threshold, or there's a particular range. Okay, so for example, let's say, you know, for table water now, we know that in the general price level in Nigeria, we know table water is maybe 200, 250, some 300. Okay, so now that one already you are informed. It will inform the price you will charge. Okay, so that means the price you will charge, your price level is dependent on the, you know, the economic price level. I mean, the price level in the economy. Okay, and then it is also a function of the production. I mean, the economic performance. How did this represent economic performance? Okay, um you know, this Y is the total output. Okay, total output of frame. Let me just see. Let me see. Total output of frame. Okay, and then this Y star is the potential output. Okay, now if the frames has produced more than, you know, if the firm has produced more than the potential output, okay, it is an addition. It is an addition to, you know, how do I call it, to the price. Okay, the price the guy will charge. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense, but what I'm saying here is that there is a direct relationship, or a positive relationship, between the outputs and the price. That's what I'm saying. So when you produce more, it is simply because, you know, your price is high. Okay, so the higher the outputs, the higher the price, according to law of demand. I mean, law of supply. That the supplier is willing to produce more as the price increases. Okay, so you can see that there's a positive relationship here. Okay, so and then the A is just like the multiplier, the degree of responsiveness of the price due to, you know, the deviation of output from the potential outputs. Okay, let's say you are planning to produce sorry, this Y star, you are planning to produce 200 units, but when you eventually produce, you produce 500. Okay, so how will that affect? It is an addition. Okay, it's an addition, and then you'll be able to, you know, so for you to have produced this, it simply means maybe because the price is high. Okay, so that's by the way on that. Okay, there's also in the notes, there's a way they derived that thing, but I don't want to dwell too much on that. Okay, but if in case if you need more explanation on that, next week Saturday by God's, or I mean this week Saturday, if we see in class, you can approach if you are still finding it difficult to understand all those derivatives. Okay, I can put you through by God's grace. Okay, so that's by the way for that. So let's go to the last thing tonight, and then that's the issue of inflation. I'll write it as man wrote it. Inflation, unemployment, hey, unemployment, and the Phillips curve. Okay, so now I want you to know something. So I want you to know something, that the Phillips curve tends to, explain the relationship between inflation and unemployment. Now let's just reason it together as a layman. Okay, as a layman, we know that when unemployment rate reduces, or let's say when unemployment rate increases, when people are not employed, when they don't have jobs, when people don't have jobs, what happens to the general or to the aggregate demand in the economy? I need a response. Um when unemployment rate increases, meaning that there are no jobs, people are out of job, what happens to the aggregate demand in the economy? I want to
Aggregate demand will
uh,
be reduced.
sorry.
There will be reduction in demand for goods when people are unemployed.
Okay, thank you. When people are unemployed, there will be a reduction in the aggregate demand in the economy. Okay, so the effect of that on inflation, when demand decreases, when demand decreases, okay, uh the inflation rate also decreases. Okay, if you agree with me on that, uh if you disagree, you can just let me know. when demand when demand decreases, the price level falls because producers will not sell. There's no demand, and producers will be forced to bring down their prices, at least so that their goods will not waste. Okay, so that their goods will not waste in the market. So they tend to reduce the price. Okay, so what Phillips curve is trying to say, okay, is that there is an inverse, okay, there is an inverse relationship between um there's an inverse relationship between unemployment and the inflation rate. And inflation. Sorry. There's an inverse relationship between unemployment and um, inflation. Okay, when unemployment increases, eh, inflation decreases. Okay, when unemployment decreases, inflation increases. What I mean by when unemployment decreases is that people are now, working. There's job. People are working, and they are earning. So as a result of that, demand will increase. Okay, when demand increases, what happens? The inflation rate increases too. Okay, so now that is what Phillips curve is trying to say. Now, how does this pertain to the formula, you know, given in the class? Okay, um, I think this will be the highlight of um, our class today. Okay, so now we are dealing with price level. Okay, let me just type what I said so that it will just be documented in a way. Okay, so Phillips of postulates that there is an inverse relationship between unemployment rates and inflation. Let me put it between unemployment and inflation. Between this inflation. Sorry, and inflation. That is when unemployment increases. When unemployment increases, inflation decreases. Okay, and vice versa. Meaning that when unemployment decreases, inflation increases. Okay, so now in this case, we are dealing with the price level. Okay, so we we can derive, okay, we can derive the Phillips curve equation from the aggregate supply equation. I think that was what the man did in class. Okay, so remember that I said the aggregate supply. Now look at it. So aggregate supply, like I said earlier, aggregate supply is equals to, the normal economic production level plus, A times, the price level minus expected price. Let me say P. I think that was what I did now. Yeah, price level and expected price. Okay, so we are deriving the Phillips. When we finish deriving it, I will now explain to you what this thing is, what this statement is. Okay, because that equation is simply interpreting what this statement said. Okay, so now how can we derive Phillips curve from this simple equation? That was the reason why I said this would be like our anchor equation. That was why I highlighted it. This would be our anchor equation. Okay, so now look at this. I think that's where most people are saying, Arabic. Hey, we go there, all right, sha. We go there, all right. Okay, so now from here, like I said, since we are dealing with price, why did I say we are dealing with price? Remember, we are discussing inflation, or better still, we are discussing Phillips curve. Okay, and Phillips curve is, trying to get the relationship between what? Between unemployment and inflation. So all we intend to do, or all we intend to achieve, all we intend to achieve in this derivative, is to find a way to, fusion inflation and unemployment into this simple equation. Okay, into this simple equation. All we are trying to do is to fusion or factor in inflation and unemployment. Okay, factor in inflation and unemployment. Okay, and then inflation is, it has to do with price level. That's why I said we are dealing with price. Inflation has to do with price level. I said we can derive Phillips curve equation from the aggregate supply equation. This is the aggregate supply equation. Okay, let me write it there. Aggregate supply equation. Okay, that's that. So we are trying to derive the Phillips curve equation from the aggregate supply equation. Okay, so all we need to do here is, since we are dealing with price, make P the subject of the formula. How do we achieve this? Remember, what's this nonsense line? Okay, so we are trying to make P, this P, that's the price level. Okay, this P is different from this P. This P is the expected price. This P is the actual market price level. Okay, so make P the subject of the formula. Okay, so how do we intend to make P the subject of the formula? Now, we all did mathematics, so we can say P minus PE, okay, is equals to Y minus Y star. Oh, sorry, Y star. Okay, everything divided by everything divided by A. Am I correct? Sorry, look at it. Do you understand? Before I move on. You guys don't understand. Maybe. You don't understand. Do you understand? You don't understand. Eh?
You can move on.
Okay. Thank you. Who sent this thing? Okay. All right. So now we can say P is then equals to let me say that means 1 over A times Y minus Y star, and then minus P E. Yes or no?
I think
Sorry,
it's supposed to be plus.
Supposed to be plus. Sorry. Thank you, Gary. Supposed to be plus. Ṣé irọ́ ni àbí kíní? So we can rearrange this by saying P is equals to PE, okay, plus 1 all over A times Y minus Y star. Okay, so now we have simplified it up to this point. Okay, but when addressing general price level, okay, when addressing this general price level, there's what we call supply shock or price shock. Okay, that's more like the error term, just like to give room that there might be other factors. This one now, the representation of this now is that our general price level is the expected price of firms in the economy plus the economic performance. Okay, meaning that the output, okay, the output, that's the determiner, or the what would determine the price level, general price level. But there are still other factors that can determine price level. Okay, for example, maybe cost of production, you get, maybe cost of production or logistics costs and some other things that can trigger it. Okay, so we introduce a stochastic variable. Okay, let's say V. Okay, where V where V is supply shock or price shock. Okay, it's more like to cushion the, how do I call it? It's just to capture some things that were not captured. Okay, it's just to capture some things that were not captured in the what's it called? In the sorry, I need to quickly attend to something. All right, okay. Now that is the reason why we introduce this V here. Okay, so now let's continue. Having done this, we have made P the subject of the formula. Now to introduce inflation into the equation, we all know that inflation is, change in price level. Okay, change in price level, meaning that the present price level, okay, minus the previous price level. Should I use P star? Let me use P star because I don't want to be. But please, the most important thing is for you to just understand this thing. Okay, so we can say that the inflation, I'll just use my own IN. I'll use IN as inflation. Okay, so we know that inflation is equals to, P blah 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 blah. Okay, so we can say here, to introduce inflation, we'll come back to this equation. Anywhere you see P, just factor in inflation. Okay, factor in inflation. So we can say the first P here, okay, minus P star. I told you that all we are trying to achieve is to factor in the concept of inflation and unemployment into this simple equation. Okay, and I said before we factor in inflation, we need to make P the subject of the formula because we are dealing with price. Okay, inflation has to do with changes in price or price levels. Okay, so now that we have made P the subject of the formula here, and then we introduced our price shock, okay, which represent our stochastic variable or our error term. Okay, this V is to capture other things that can affect price. Okay, and then we went ahead to introduce the inflation. Okay, and we said inflation is price, current price minus previous price. Okay, let me just put it where P star is the previous year's price. Okay, so now that we have factored it in. So let me just rewrite all this. Let me factor in inflation. Okay, so this P minus P, current price minus previous price is equals to current price expectation, PE, okay, minus previous price expectation, P star. Okay. What's this? I wanted to type minus P star. Okay. Now this is just for this first one, which is this, and then this PE, which is this second one. Okay. And then plus 1 over A, multiplied by Y minus Y. Okay, so this Y is the output, and then the potential outputs of the country. Okay, the actual outputs, and then this is the potential outputs. Okay, and then plus our supply shock, which is V. Okay, so now I haven't factored in inflation. All we just need to do, just in the notes, inflation is denoted by pi, pi. But since I don't have my pi here, I'm using IN. That's inflation. Okay, so inflation is then equals to, you can see we are gradually factoring in inflation. Okay, so inflation is now equals to expected inflation. Let me put star. Expected inflation. Okay, expected inflation. I don't want to put star. Well, let me put it there, Jerry. Expected inflation plus, plus this. One. Don't let me retype all these things again. Okay, plus all of this. Plus all of this. Okay, please, are you following through, Sha? Now, we have successfully factored in our inflation. Okay, we have successfully factored in our inflation. Then, to factor in our unemployment, okay, to factor in our unemployment, we quote the Okun's law. Okay, Okun's law is Okun's law. Okay, Okun's law is trying to explain the relationship between the total outputs of the country and the unemployment rate. So Okun's law is trying to say that there is an inverse relationship too between the total outputs or total economic performance of the country and the unemployment. So if unemployment rates increases by 1, if unemployment rate increases by 1, okay, then total output of the country reduces by 2. So it's more like there's a percentage, like if there's a 1% increase in unemployment rates in the country, then there will be a 2% decrease. Okay, there will be a 2% decrease in the economic performance of the country, or the economic output of the country. Okay, I don't know if you understand that. Okay, Okun's law is talking about the relationship between unemployment and then the total output of the country, which is the GDP. Okay, and it's saying that there's an inverse, there's a negative relationship between the country's unemployment rates and the GDP. Okay, so let me just type it. Okun's law is or states that there is time to Lusha. There is an I will soon be done with this. Okay, there is an inverse relationship between a country's unemployment rates and its economic outputs. Okay, so that's by the way for this. So what I'm trying to say is that our y, which is the output, minus the potential output of a country, okay, divided by, okay, let me use this one. I know some people are sleeping already, but then we move. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that okay, so what I'm trying to say is that this part of the equation represents the economic output. You can see y is the output. Y is the output. It represents the economic output of the country. And then this other part represents the unemployment rate in the country. And then what it's saying is that there's an inverse, there's a negative, let me just put it, negative relationship between the country's unemployment rate and its economic. So it's just a law. It's a law. If you want, you can read more on Okun's law, okay? But this is their insinuation that this is equals to negative b, that's beta, okay? And then the unemployment, where this one is the current unemployment rate, and then the natural rate of unemployment, that's let's say U star. Okay, so now the reason why we are bringing in Okun's law is because the law states that there is an inverse relationship. There's a relationship between the country's economic output and economic output, in the sense, I mean, it's otherwise known as GDP. Like there's an inverse relationship between the GDP and the unemployment rate. When unemployment rate increases, GDP reduces. Okay, when unemployment rate reduces, GDP increases by a certain percentage. Okay, they are not operating positively. Okay, so you can see that this output is equals to, I mean, it has a negative relationship. That's why this minus beta is there. Okay, so why are we doing this? It's simply to infuse the unemployment rate into our equation here. Okay, now do you know that this equation, this part of the equation is the same thing as this? Okay, it's the same thing as this y minus something. Okay, so all we need to do is just to, anywhere we see this, is just to substitute this other one. Okay, let me even copy it now. All right, oh no, let me, so now look at it. We are almost done. Oh. Okay, so what I intend to do now, what I intend to do now is to substitute the minus, 1 over a, 1 over a, 1 over a times y minus y star. Substitute it, okay? So look at this. We have successfully, formed our Phillips curve equation, and I will explain. Equation, okay? Now, I said Phillips curve insinuates that the relationship between our inflation rates and unemployment rates is negative, meaning that as unemployment rate increases, inflation decreases. As unemployment rate decreases, inflation increases. There's an inverse. Now, this minus b is showing inverse. Now, this is our inflation rate. Okay, this is our inflation, and then this is our expected inflation. That's why I put asterisk on it. Okay, and then you can see that inflation is inversely related to unemployment. Okay, so this u minus u star, this u is the current unemployment, while the u star is the natural unemployment rate. Okay, and then your v, that's your supply shock or the price shock. Okay, so I believe we understand how we are able to derive this. Okay, we derived this from this our simple aggregate supply function. All we just need to do is to now relate those things to the inflation and unemployment rates. Okay, so we first made P the summary formula, and then after that we know that inflation is, it has to do with P, price level. So we know that inflation is the difference between prices now. Okay, and then we introduced our inflation here, and then we introduced this Okun's law that talks about the output, which is this, the relationship between output and unemployment. So we used that one to bring in our unemployment rates. Okay, and then all we did was just to substitute it here, and then we are done. Okay, so I believe this helps. Thank you for having me tonight. I as well learned this thing for myself too. So thank you. It's an honor to pick up the challenge. Thank you. I would draw the curtain here. Casey, I believe you are home now.